In a school where rulebooks mattered more than hungry stomachs, one teacher dared to break the silence. She didn't know it would cost her job, or lead her to the place she was always meant to be. Lily Hart, 34, petite with a soft voice and fierce eyes, worked tirelessly at Crestview Public School, a strict, underfunded institution tucked into a gray corner of Millstone City. When she noticed 8-year-old Trevor Marlin, a quiet boy with sunken eyes and oversized clothes, stealing crackers from the cafeteria trash, she didn't hesitate. She packed him a sandwich the next day. But her act of compassion didn't go unnoticed. Principal Royce Mather, a tall, cold man with clipped speech and a hardline view of discipline over dependence, reprimanded her in front of the faculty. "Feeding them isn't your job, Lily. You're not a charity." What Lily didn't know then was that this sandwich would spark a chain of events no policy manual could contain. Lily stood her ground. She defended Trevor's circumstances, explained the boy's mother was hospitalized, and his father had disappeared months earlier. But compassion wasn't in Crestview's curriculum. The dismissal was swift. "You crossed a line," Principal Mather declared. "We cannot allow emotional interference with policy." She was escorted out with a box of personal items and a heart full of shame and disbelief. Outside, Trevor's small hand slipped into hers. "Miss Hart, who's gonna care now?" That question haunted her for days. 3 weeks passed in a fog of job applications and regret, until one rainy afternoon a sharply dressed man with a soft demeanor knocked on her apartment door. "I'm Miles Renner," he said, handing her a warm cup of coffee. "I run a school called Haven Ridge. We heard what happened." Lily blinked. "Heard from who?" He smiled. "From someone who believes kindness shouldn't get you fired. We'd like you to come see what we're building." She hesitated, but that was the first flicker of hope she'd felt in weeks. Nestled in the Golden Hills outside the city, Haven Ridge looked more like a retreat than a school. Open gardens, chalkboard fences, and art-covered walls spoke louder than any mission statement. Miles introduced her to Headmaster Evelyn Rowe, a silver-haired woman with wise eyes and a voice like wind chimes. "Our children are survivors," Evelyn explained. "Some come from trauma, others from neglect. But here they are seen. Here we choose love first." Lily was stunned. This was unlike any school she'd known, and she was offered a position on the spot. Her first day wasn't perfect. A boy with ADHD climbed onto a bookshelf. Another child had a meltdown over a broken crayon. But Lily noticed something rare. Every adult in the room responded with calm, not punishment. Trevor's face haunted her, but Haven Ridge had its own broken wings, and Lily knew how to shelter them. By the end of the week, one of her students, Grace, mute since birth, tugged on her sleeve and whispered, "You smile like sunshine," Lily cried in the staff room. She wasn't just teaching the children. She was unlearning everything Crestview had drilled into her. Here, grades weren't the only report card. Emotional check-ins mattered. Boundaries were kind but flexible. Lily slowly adjusted, learning to speak gently, even in chaos. She created a calm corner with pillows and affirmations. Students began seeking her out just to be near. She realized discipline wasn't about power, it was about protection and peace. This place wasn't a school, it was a sanctuary. 2 months in, Lily heard a familiar name, Trevor Marlin. His new foster parents had enrolled him at Haven Ridge. When he walked into her classroom, he froze. "Miss Hart," she knelt. "Trevor, this is your new home." He burst into tears and clung to her. That moment stitched together the hole in her heart and his. Trevor struggled at first. Nightmares, food hoarding, distrust. But Lily made time. Every day they read a page together. Every week they planted something in the school garden. The school didn't shame his past, it honored his resilience. Slowly Trevor began to shine. He raised his hand. He laughed. He made a friend. He smiles now, Lily told Evelyn one afternoon. "He never used to." "That's the sound of healing," Evelyn replied. One evening, Lily stayed late and found Evelyn in her office, staring at an old letter. "I once taught at a school like Crestview," she confided. "They let a child fall through the cracks. I couldn't save her," her voice cracked. "That's why I built Haven Ridge." Lily finally understood. Haven Ridge wasn't just about saving kids, it was about redemption for teachers too. Enter Meredith Langford, a powerful donor whose daughter had been disciplined after bullying another student. She demanded Evelyn reverse the punishment. When Evelyn refused, Meredith threatened to pull all her funding. "Your bleeding heart model doesn't work," she hissed. Evelyn stood tall. "We don't bend kindness for dollars." Staff braced for cuts, but what happened next would change everything. When word of Meredith Langford's threat spread, something remarkable happened. The Haven Ridge community, once quiet and humble, rose like a tidal wave. Parents organized town hall meetings. Alumni flooded social media with stories of how Haven Ridge had saved them. Volunteers showed up with handmade banners reading, "Kindness is our curriculum." local businesses donated supplies, and one retired teacher pledged her pension to support scholarships. Even former doubters were moved. They remembered how the school turned troubled kids into thriving young minds. In a matter of weeks, the outpouring of support far outweighed Meredith's contributions. The school's heart had never beaten louder. A visit from the State Education Board once signaled doom. But at Haven Ridge it became a revelation. Inspectors expected chaos, but instead found harmony. They observed quiet morning meditations, art sessions exploring emotions, and children offering hugs freely. One inspector lingered at a display of student journals. He read aloud an entry. "My teacher doesn't yell, she listens with her heart." At the end of the day, he removed his badge and shared, "I grew up in a place like this. I wish it had been more like Haven Ridge." The vote was unanimous. The school not only passed, they inspired policy change discussions. Lily transformed her classroom into a space that looked more like a library or living room than a traditional schoolroom. There were rugs, beanbags, a peace teepee for self-soothing, and a table where students voted on weekly kindness goals. Traditional educators raised eyebrows, but the results spoke volumes. Kids previously labeled as disruptive flourished. Conflict resolution became peer-led. Creativity soared. Even the shyest children began raising their hands, offering thoughtful ideas. "I wanted them to feel like learning was a safe adventure," Lily explained, "not a test to survive." Her classroom became a case study in progressive education across the state. When Trevor was invited to speak at the State Education Reform Conference, Lily was unsure. "You don't have to," she told him gently. But Trevor stood tall, nervous but brave. "My first school called me a problem," he began, eyes scanning the room of policymakers and principals. "Miss Hart said I was a person." He shared stories of sleeping in cars, of being invisible. "But then someone saw me," he said, voice steady. "She gave me food and then she gave me hope." His final words echoed across the hall. "Change isn't a policy, it's a person who cares." Trevor's speech went viral. News outlets ran stories about Haven Ridge. School boards across the country requested interviews. Emails poured in from teachers who said they had felt alone in their fight for compassion. Now they had a model, a map. One principal wrote, "I used to focus on grades. Now I ask if my students feel safe." The university offered Lily a part-time position to help redesign its teacher training program. Evelyn smiled. It all began with a sandwich. The ripple had become a wave, and it was transforming classrooms one brave teacher at a time. Lily was shocked when she was nominated for Teacher of the Year. "I'm not exceptional," she insisted. "I just did what was right." But Evelyn insisted she accept. "You didn't just teach, Lily. You healed." At the award ceremony held in a grand auditorium in the city, Lily wore a modest navy dress and trembling smile. She took the stage, looked at the audience and began, "This award isn't about being the best. It's about being the one who doesn't give up, on the child who bites, who cries, who's angry. Because when we show up with love, they bloom." The audience rose in thunderous applause. Thanks to generous donations and renewed attention, Haven Ridge expanded. The new building was dedicated to trauma-informed care, therapy through arts and crisis counseling. It had sensory rooms, a quiet garden, and a small library filled with books about healing. On opening day, a wooden sign was revealed, the Heart Center. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. I don't deserve this," she whispered. Trevor, now a confident fifth grader, tugged her sleeve. "Yes, you do. You're the reason we have all this." She knelt down, hugged him tightly, and whispered, "This isn't mine, it's ours." Months after the Heart Center opened, Lily received a letter in stiff white envelope. The return address read, Crestview Public School. It was from Principal Royce Mather. In crisp handwriting, he confessed, "I didn't understand what you were doing. I thought you were undermining authority. Now I see you were upholding humanity. Thank you for being braver than I could be." Lily exhaled. For years she had carried the weight of that confrontation. Now she folded the letter gently and tucked it into her classroom's memory box. Forgiveness, she realized, was the final act of growth. Lily now mentored new teachers weekly and helped design compassionate learning modules. Her classroom was a model, an invitation to new possibilities. Trevor thrived. His reading level soared, his smile constant. He'd even taken to helping other new kids adjust. "You're like her," a kindergartner told him once. "You make us feel safe." Lily watched from her desk as Trevor helped a crying child find the calm corner. She realized that teaching wasn't about one year or one child. It was a ripple, endless, deep, and full of purpose. And her life's work was now being carried forward by the very children she had once saved. In the end, what Lily did wasn't revolutionary because it was new. It was revolutionary because it remembered something old. That children thrive where love leads. She turned shame into strength, fear into faith, and silence into a song sung by hundreds. New schools opened under the Haven Ridge model. Teachers who once whispered about kindness now spoke boldly. And all of it began with a sandwich, a stolen glance, and a teacher who refused to walk away. If this story moved you, subscribe to hear more stories that restore faith in humanity. Together, let's build a world where love teaches louder than fear.